the Federal Reserve or whatever. That's getting into tinfoil hat territory. But let's move forward. So let's talk about business models. How do you make money with blockchain software, or how would you kind of approach? And this is just what I've seen so far. This is a bit of a coarse categorization of what I've seen kind of emerging so far. So there's the application layer. So that's really close to the consumer. So it's a SaaS model. It's an ad-based model, kind of like what we have today. Jaxx Wallet, CoinMarketCap, Coinigy, these are just examples of websites that give you analytics, insight into the blockchain. Jaxx basically is a wallet software. And for that, what are they doing? Maybe some data collection, maybe they're selling some advertising, maybe they're doing some analytics themselves on the blockchain, right? Decentralized applications are starting to kind of pop out. And basically, I think 2018, we're going to see a lot more decentralized applications. So these are things like the exchanges, the prediction markets, and the consumer platforms. So right now, a lot of the exchange is being done through centralized exchanges, but there's a very big push from the blockchain community to get these applications to become decentralized, so that they're global, so that a nation state can't come in and basically say, well, you're domiciled in the US, we don't like what you're doing, we don't like this global currency called Bitcoin, so we want you out of here. So everyone's pushing to get things going in a decentralized way. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And how do they make their money? Well, they take a cut of the fees. Now these aren't like rent seekers. They actually add value. So if somebody's going to let me turn my Bitcoin into Ethereum, if that's on a decentralized exchange and I'm paying 0.5% or whatever, then I'm just paying for that service, right? Protocols. So we're actually starting to see these protocol tokens. Their business model is through incentivizing other developers to build on their protocols and to build decentralized exchanges. But they themselves are a token and a protocol for decentralized exchange. So basically, the incentivization layer collects fees using their token, which puts like a market demand. It puts like a market, like an upward demand on the token. Because people need those tokens to pay the fees. Now, even if that's all abstracted behind the scenes, there's still like, if I'm making an Ethereum to some random token decentralized kind of trade, then there's still, if the fees are collected in 0x, there's still behind the scenes going to be a little bit of a pull on the open markets, causing the value of the 0x token to rise. That gets a little bit more complicated, but basically, these tokens are going to be valuable because they enable all sorts of stuff, storage, exchange, whatever. The actual blockchains themselves, so Bitcoin, Ethereum. I mean, if you believe in Bitcoin being this mathematical function, I wrote down intrinsic. Although Bitcoin doesn't have any intrinsic value, I mean the code is there. It is real. It exists. Accounts are there. They have Bitcoin in them. Is it any different than, gold in the ground or in some safe at, Goldman Sachs? I don't know, right? It's whatever we want to believe in. So there is sort of like this value to Bitcoin and Ethereum that you kind of would buy it, you would hold on to it because it is in limited supply, it's digital scarcity, and you think that hey, this stuff is going somewhere. There's never going to be any more of it, so why don't I hold on to it? So value creation and capture. So in the internet, we had a lot of values captured at the application layer. So, Facebook and Google, they don't pay for TCP/IP. They don't pay for HTTP. They just use it. They just leverage it, right? Very few people make money in the internet stack on the protocol layer. They make money by building applications, and that's where the business models of data and ads, that's kind of where it came from. The blockchain stack looks a little bit differently. There's more sort of value creation and capture happening at these protocols. So, tokens that you use to store a file or that you use to pay for computational resources. more value is being created at the protocol layer. But instead of just having one ginormous protocol to rule them all, you might want to maybe think about constructing applications with a layer of thin protocols that kind of talk to each other. So there's a lot of kind of blockchain 2.0 talk, and that's basically a blockchain that's sole purpose is to bridge between other blockchains. So you can go from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Zcash. You go to Ethereum to buy, and then you go from Ethereum to Filecoin to buy your storage. You go from Ethereum to Golem to get your compute resources, and that's how your application runs, right? So there's a lot of interconnected protocol talk happening. And I kind of alluded to this, public versus private chains. We're kind of in the 90s. It's the, every company wants blockchain because it's the hot buzzword, but nobody really wants to be out there on the public, blockchain because it's scary, it's going to expose our commerce and like our transactions. And yeah, those are valid concerns, but this is just sort of growing pains until we move forward, like into where we got to with the internet, right? 20 years later. So I'll just kind of burn through this. And the state of smart contracts today, so the Ethereum blockchain kind of has the widest adoption and sort of acceptance. Yes, the language is still in flux. Everything's still being built. I alluded to like Filecoin and being able to store a file in a decentralized way. That's not even done yet. That's not even built, right? There is a test network out and test technology that you can try out, like IPFS, which is the underlying technology of Filecoin, but it's not finished. It's not out there. There's no public Filecoin network yet. So this is evolving, like right now. It's happening today. Ethereum's a really good way to kind of get into the ecosystem. It doesn't really kind of, claim to be the one and only blockchain, but it is, in my opinion, it's the most sophisticated to date, and it's got a lot of developer sort of support and a lot of easy on-ramps into it. So definitely check that out. And I don't really have a summary thank you slide, but I'm going to wrap it up, guys, by just saying that yes, it's early days with blockchain, but it's very, very exciting technology. And as I alluded towards with some of the peer-to-peer talk and the decentralization talk, I think we're moving towards a future where we are becoming more sovereign individuals. So when you buy Bitcoin, when you buy Ethereum, it's a PGP account. It's a public-private key. If you lose your private key, that's your responsibility. So part of the part of the responsibility of living in a peer-to-peer network and in a truly, open network where I can send Bitcoin or Ethereum to anyone I want, part of that is responsibility. It's responsibility over, your private key and your own stuff. As we start to build more and more into this technology, more and more responsibility will be pushed to the individual, but that will only serve to empower the individual. So just kind of think about that, think about where it's going. That's where the technology is going. And of course, the price is going to the moon. I'm just kidding. Thanks, guys.